welcome to the viewers and listeners of the Partnership Publishing podcast. Now, today we're very excited. We've got a very special guest. It's Benjamin Hall. How are you?
I'm very well. How are you this morning?
Good, amazing. Excited for this conversation because there's so much that we can talk about with this book, which is, of course, the Rainforestness Monster, which is now available to order. I'll just give everyone a little, for those that can see, the best colour palette ever. I mean, it matches your walls as well behind you, so it's perfect.
That's right.
But I thought it'd be brilliant for us to have this discussion because I know there's a lot involved with different organisations, different experiences you've had in life that have really influenced this book. And it can really change and make a difference with many things. So it'd be great to have the opportunity to spread the word. But I thought if you've got your copy ready, we could start with giving people just a bit of an insight to the book with the blurb. If you'd like to read it for us.
So the blurb reads, "From the depths of the Amazon rainforest, a creature emerges. Unknown to humans, George the Rainforestness Monster is the last of his kind. With his best friend, Sam the monkey in tow, George must avoid the loggers sent to clear the rainforest if he is to survive."
Perfect. You've got the reading voice down to a T. You're ready for the events now.
There you go. That's my special reading voice.
It was perfect. Well, I mean, even from that, for those that haven't read it, I think you can take, there's that one line, George must avoid the loggers. And throughout the book, there is a heavy influence regarding the continuous deforestation of, is it the Amazon specifically, or, you know, just in...
Well, yes, the book, of course, is set in the Amazon rainforest. But, of course, logging is going on in rainforests around the world. It's just that the Amazon, being the largest rainforest in the world, gets the most publicity because it's being destroyed at an alarming rate. Before we came on to do this podcast, I just did a quick search for some facts for you. And in the last... Well, deforestation really started in the Amazon in the 1960s when the Brazilian government decided it needed to boost the economy. They moved the capital from Sao Paulo to Brasilia, which is inland. And successive governments in Brazil adopted a policy of moving people into the Amazon to clear the rainforest, to grow crops, to put cattle ranches on, and to clear indigenous tribes, have been there for thousands of years, away from the rainforest. And in fact, the Amazon jungle has lost 20% of its surface area in the last 50 years, which equates to 275,000 square miles. So you can imagine the Amazon's the size of the USA. I mean, it's vast, it's huge. It's hard to conceptualize it. So if it's lost 20% of its surface area in the last 50 years, you can imagine how big an area that is. And it's continually losing about 2,500 square miles every year. So if you can imagine, if that continues over the next 20, 30 years, there's not going to be a rainforest left.
It's just happening more and more. It's not slowing down, is it?
No, it isn't. And in fact, this is a scary thought for our listeners and viewers, that deforestation is the second largest cause of, second to burning fossil fuels, of greenhouse gas emissions in the world. So if you think about how at the moment petrol and diesel cars, and of course we've got the climate change, which is very much in the news at the moment. Temperatures in this country, in Lincolnshire, where you hit a record the other day. So if you can imagine that, everyone talks about that, but no one's really talking about deforestation, which is the second largest cause of greenhouse gas emissions in the world after burning fossil fuels. So it should really be up there, and it should really be talked about in the same light, because it's scary.
Oh, definitely. And I think people, when they hear deforestation, they just think of the trees, but there's so much more to it, as you were just saying, the indigenous tribes, the animals' habitats, and obviously all the gases that are being let off and the way it's affecting the climate. And I remember from a previous conversation we've had that you did Did you go to the Amazon rainforest?
I did. I did, and it's part of the inspiration for the story, really. 20 years ago, which sounds scary to me now, but 20 years ago, I spent some time in Brazil, and I went to the Amazon. Spent some time going around, staying in the jungle. I mean, it's an amazing place. It's absolutely fantastic. I'd encourage everyone, really, who can, to go and visit, because it's a little known corner of the world, really, in terms of people who go to visit it. We all read about it, we see it on the TV, but not that many people go to visit it. And it's a stunning place, absolutely stunning. And I stayed with some tribes when I was there. We had a guide. We went on a canoe, because there are no roads in the Amazon. We went on a canoe, and we were going around visiting these different villages who are extremely welcoming, and stayed with some tribes. And it was an amazing experience, absolutely amazing experience.
I can imagine. And even 20 years ago, was it visible then that these things were happening? I mean, you stayed with the tribes. Was it something that was really prominent then? Was it, definitely?
Yeah, absolutely. And they were fearful for their own way of life back then. So whether the people that I saw and spoke to and stayed with are still there, I just don't know. I mean, it's a scary thought. I mean, you can imagine having a way of life and then intruders coming in and completely uprooting it, taking away your life, your livelihoods, your homes, for the sake of progress as they see it. I mean, it's a scary thought.
Yeah, no, it's horrific. And I think one of the brilliant things we've seen when looking at the marketing and really researching this book is different organizations that are kind of trying to make a change. And the Rainforest Trust, I think I saw a post on your Instagram about that. Have you been involved with them? Are you in contact with them? Or
yeah, so they're a great organization which help to educate and promote rainforests and the biodiversity, and preserving the rainforests and protecting the rainforests. And predominantly it's aimed at education, which is really what people need. They need to understand what's going on in these places. And of course, the Rainforest Trust is a fantastic organisation which helps to promote that.
Yeah. And speaking of education, I mean, you've got young children yourself. I mean, a children's book is the perfect way to do this, I think, and the way you've done it with the illustrations is just fabulous. How were your children knowing that Dad's an author now?
Well, it's funny you should say that. My eldest son Dylan, who really is the inspiration for the story, he came up with the title of the book, and he came up with the design of the title character, and he's autistic. So he's now 13, big 13-year-old, big moody teenager, but he finds it very hard to express himself. So he came up with he loves drawing, he loves writing, and he came up with the design and the title of the character, probably about, well, just as lockdown was coming in, so 2.5 years ago or thereabouts. He just drew a picture of this sort of pink diplodocus with a pointy tail, and he called it the Rainforestness Monster. But when I tried to speak to him about it, he couldn't tell me, or couldn't verbalize what he was thinking. And I suppose, like a lot of people in lockdown, I had some time on my hands, and I thought I could do something with the design, with the title. And over a period of time, I sat down and I wrote the story, which probably took me about 6 months. And then obviously over time, I got my fantastic illustrator, Sarah Lee. You can see that's amazing. Amazing design and amazing character creation she's done for me. But Sarah Lee Wills, at the Happy Designer, she illustrated it for me, and then of course it came to you guys, and now it's being published. So when I show Dylan the book, he's, in his very Dylan way, he sort of, yes, that's fine, thank you. Doesn't show that much excitement, but he's aware of the book. But my youngest son Samuel, who is 10, 3 years younger than Dylan, he's very excited about the book, and in fact he took a copy into his primary school the other day. He's just finished now, but he took it into the school the other day, and he was asked to stand up in class and talk about it, which he did very proudly.
Yeah.
So the school have now got a copy of the book. So yes, so he's very excited, which is great.
And I guess, are you looking into visiting schools? I know, again, just researching and looking at your Instagram, and your son Dylan attends an additional needs school. What, Stony Dean?
Yes, Stony Dean, that's right.
And you mentioned about the fundraising for that. What is the situation there?
So so we like every parent will know who has a special needs child, and when they have a special education needs plan, you go in and you see the school once a year and you sit down with them and you discuss your child's needs and their progress and what they can do. So we had a meeting with Dylan's school at the end of June with his teacher, and we were informed at that meeting that because of Dylan's needs, they're at the more severe end of autism, that we were told that due to that he can't stay on at the school, or they won't be able to support him at the school beyond the age of 16. The reason being is they don't have the additional resources which they need in order to keep a child of Dylan's needs within the school, and they've been turned down for funding from local council to build an additional resources unit in order to keep children like Dylan at the school beyond the age of 16. So that came as a bit of a shock to me and my wife. And well, I made the decision then really that any sales from the book I want to be able to donate to the school in order to help them with their fundraising efforts, because they're desperately short of money. A lot of schools are special needs schools around the country. So I spoke to the headmaster and he kindly promoted the book on their Instagram page, on their Twitter feed as well. Copied in Bucks County Council to let them know the situation. So if anyone from Bucks County Council is watching this, they need money. So yes, the school are collaborating with me. Again, I sent a copy in of the book, the finished book, to the school yesterday with Dylan on his last day. So they've got that. So that's great. So I'm just trying to raise awareness for the book really, and any funds that I can generate from sales, I'd like to donate to Stony Dean. In addition, of course, to the National Autistic Society, again, do a great job with education and assisting parents with children with autism. And of course, the Rainforest Trust as well, I'd like to donate some money to. So we'll see how the book sales go, but it'd be nice to be able to give something back and help those schools and those organisations who need money to promote causes which are close to my heart.
Yeah, and we'll have all the links down below for where you can purchase the book, because it is such an important cause. And I think what I find really special about this book is obviously your son Dylan was really the main inspiration behind it. And you were saying with his autism, he struggles to verbalize things. It's really through creativity and would you say visualization and imagery is how he kind of processes things.
Yes.
And I think Sarah, how was that process trying to get that across and bring his drawings to life? How did you find that process?
So the first thing I said to Sarah when I contacted her was, I want the character design to stay true to Dylan's original picture, because ultimately it's his inspiration which has led to the creation of the book. And she took that on board. And there was a process probably of about 2 or 3 months when Sarah came up with different designs, and we knocked them back and forth for George and for Agatha and for Sam and for Agatha's dad. And then, she was great. She took my critiques on board. She told me what she thought as well. So the process began, I think, August 2020. Yes. And then she finished it within the character designs within about 3 months, which was great. And then after that, she filled in the rest of the book with the layout of the rainforest and the pages. And what I really said to Sarah is I want the readers to be able to visualize the rainforest. I want it to pop off the page with the vibrancy of colours and the animals. And I think Sarah's done an amazing job with that. Absolutely amazing job. So hopefully when younger readers read it, they will see, and it really does reflect how the Amazon looks, which is great, which is really what I wanted.
Give a little view to everyone.
Yeah.
The colour, it's really interesting, and it's something I've not really seen. It creates, even with the cover as well, this fabulous texture.
Yeah,
it's just amazing. It's really nice to hold and to feel. It feels real, and it's a colour palette that I've not really seen before. It's absolutely gorgeous.
There's so many different greens, and then when you go to the jungle, and you don't perhaps appreciate that there's not just one green. There's every shade and type of green that you can possibly imagine, and Sarah's really reflected that within the book, which is fantastic.
No, it's amazing, and I think it kind of leads on to, I mean, Sarah, this is her day job and this is her craft and her talent, but your day job is completely different. You're a solicitor, is that right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
And how did you kind of go down this path of writing and realize that this is something that you wanted to do?
I think I've always been a frustrated writer. I mean, I did English literature for A level and really enjoyed it, and that involved a lot of creative writing. But then I did a law degree and then progressed from there to becoming a solicitor after my travels when I came back. So my job obviously involves a lot of writing anyway, but it was just having the time to be able to sit down. And of course, at the beginning of lockdown, we're all quite quiet, and it gave me some time and then with Dylan's drawing and character design, it gave me that time to sort of really sit down and focus on writing it. And I wrote it in I think 3 or 4 different periods of time. I sort of wrote a bit of it and then left it for a while and then came back to it. So and the whole process, I sketched out the sort of rough story as well, and then I tailored the book to that. So the whole process probably took about 4 or 5 months, I think, in total, to write it start to finish.
Was it more of a you had the idea and was just doing it, kind of a nice fun thing for you and Dylan, and then there was a moment of, oh, this can be real? Or was it from the beginning you knew that you wanted to publish something like this?
No, I didn't at all, really. To start with, it was just something that I wanted to do for Dylan, and to show him what could be done with his character design. But as progress happened with the story and I finished it, I thought, well, perhaps there's something there which can be turned into a proper book. So in fact, I've got an author friend of mine who lives in Denmark, and he's got a couple of young children. So I emailed him the story and asked him to critique it and read it to his young kids, and which he did. And he got back to me with a couple of suggestions, and he said his children really liked it. So again, that sort of had a kernel of an idea within me that perhaps it could go further than just a story for Dylan. But again, I didn't really do anything with it after that until I met a lady who is a children's author, and she's had books published, and I got chatting with her, and I sent the manuscript to her to say, well, look, what do you think? And she again got back to me and said, I think it's really good. I think you could do something with it. So again, that led me to contacting Sarah to see what she thought. And she got back to me fairly quickly and said, yes, it's really nice. I think I could illustrate the book for you. And then that led to me finding you guys through Sarah. So that's how the process works.
No, it's been a great journey. And just to even have a physical copy, it's the best feeling. I mean, that day must have been amazing for you to receive that.
It really was. Yeah.
But just hearing about these different reviews that you'd got prior to even contacting us, I remember we had a conversation about David Attenborough. And is it that he lives near your workplace, if I remember correctly?
He does. and in fact, I dropped a copy off at his door. I'm not going to say where he lives, but I dropped a copy off at his door last week. So he's now got a copy of the book. So we'll see what he thinks of it. Whether he's got time to read it, I don't know. But I think it'd be something maybe for his great grandkids, or it's certainly something up his street as well. So I hope he likes it, because the man is an absolute legend and an inspiration to everyone. We all grew up watching Sir David on TV, piquing our interest in the world at large, and that still continues to this day. The guy's absolutely amazing, considering he's 96 years old. I mean, it's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And he's still going strong. It's amazing.
That's amazing. And I guess that brings me to my final question. I mean, he's had a long career discussing this topic of interest. So I think my final question to you would be, what is the future for Benjamin Hall Books and the future of this book?
Well, hopefully the book will do well, and it will reach an audience which like it and appreciate it. And if the book does well, I'm more than happy to sit down. Maybe we could have a sequel, or I've got other ideas for other books as well on similar topics. Because I think part of a success for any book really is to find an issue or a theme which is perhaps prevalent or relevant in the world. And then it's, especially the children's book, it's getting the story, getting children interested in the story, and then of course putting in the hook of whatever the relevant issue might be into the story. So because you want children to have fun, to learn to read, and want them to read the book, but then also develop an understanding of the themes behind the book, which is what that's my biggest thing. If children can come away from reading the book with an understanding perhaps of what's going on in the Amazon jungle, so when they get bigger they will be aware of the issue, and then of course for our generation, but future generations of course, to press the issue, then that's, I'd be really happy with that. Really,
exactly. I mean, they are the future. They're our future, and I think what you're doing is fabulous, educating them, but it's still so fun and it's brilliant to read. The rhythm of everything is fabulous. But yeah, I will add the links for everyone to find it below. And I know you've also got a website, don't you? What is your website?
It's www.benjaminhallbooks.com. So please, people go and have a look at my website, because I've put a blog up there and some links as well, so people hopefully will find that interesting.
It is a fun website. It's one of my favorites, and we'll share your Instagram and Facebook with everyone so they can connect with you as well, because I'm sure there'll be many people that, I mean, just then you've given some brilliant advice unintentionally, so I'm sure you can really help people out. But it was fabulous to speak with you. Oh, go on.
I was just going to say, what I'd say to anyone who's watching this or listening to this, and they're thinking about writing a book, I'd just say, just do it.
Yeah.
Because I had no experience of writing a book before 2.5 years ago, and I'm so pleased that I've done it. Don't die wondering, or what if I did this? Just go out and do it. Exactly. That's my advice to people.
You never know until you do it, and you never know until you try. So
exactly.
Yeah, I think some people just need that confidence sometimes. And I think that's what's fabulous about having these conversations, is that we're all just normal people. We're not David Walliams or, and you've managed to do it, and you've managed to make a fabulous, fabulous read. So that's inspirational in itself. But thank you for joining us. Thank you for sharing the story and the inspirations. It's fabulous to speak with you. And hopefully we'll be seeing you again soon.
Fingers crossed. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Bye now.
Bye.